The Polar Owl Colony is designed to imprison criminals for life. IK-18 is located in the Waineau, in the settlement of Kharp, not far from Labitnangi. At the end of the Stalin era, a colossal construction project took place here. It was planned to build the Transpolar Railway. This railroad was to connect Norilsk and Vorkuta, as well as provide a route to the Ob and Pechora basins. After Stalin died, the work was stopped. Then the railroad workers founded their settlement, from which the village of Kharp has already grown. From Nenets, this word is translated as Northern Lights. In 1973, a penal colony was built here. Life prisoners have been kept here only since 2004. The most cruel and dangerous criminals of the country, recidivists, terrorists, maniacs, etc., are kept in Polar Owl. They will never see freedom again, and even committing suicide is impossible. Guards watch over the prisoners around the clock. Why the colony is called Polar Owl? The colony welcomes people with a sculpture of a polar owl. The bird of prey dives on its prey, which does not yet realize that it has come to an end. And it is quite symbolic, because the convicts, who just got here, for a long time cannot come to their senses and realize that they are here forever and the only way out is to the cemetery. Some of them die without fully realizing their fate. How they live in Polar Owl. The convicts sentenced to life here will never go free again. They will not be able to choose their own clothes, eat what they want, go somewhere to rest, and in general, they cannot do anything on their own without permission. By the way, most of the convicts, according to numerous journalists who visited the colony, consider their sentences too cruel and unjustified. In total, there are more than 340 people in the colony who received life sentences. They have killed many hundreds, if not thousands of innocent people. Such criminals, unlike their victims, continue to live badly but not well. Their health is monitored. They have walks and food. This special regime colony has a strict regime zone and a settlement colony where both men and women are held. The place where the colony is located is gloomy but picturesque. There are mountains, rivers, beautiful landscapes. But the lifers themselves do not see this. The prisoners are monitored around the clock. 12 large screens are installed in a special video control room, on which about 300 cameras transmit images. There are no blind spots for the cameras here. They observe all the places where illegal actions can be committed. Naturally, there is also an alarm system and motion sensors. Round-the-clock supervision allows you to immediately stop illegal actions or conflicts. If there is even a hint of an impending conflict in the cell, the guards will immediately intervene. But it is also useful for the prisoners themselves, because they can also quickly turn to the guard on duty. The psychologist of the colony says that fights do not happen here, at most, a verbal altercation. The mental health of prisoners in Polar Colony is carefully monitored. About 12 people visit the psychologist every day. Each person is treated individually depending on the crime committed by the convict. Everything is strictly voluntary. Before entering the colony, you must be briefed. It is forbidden to take cell phones with you. There is also a search at the passageway. Visitors hand in their passport and receive a certificate of identity. It is better not to lose the certificate. Everything is strict here, and even the head of the colony cannot pass to its territory without a thorough inspection. On the territory of Polar Owl, there are fences, barbed wire, and cages everywhere. There is almost sepulchral silence here. Only prisoners sometimes say hello to the staff. Convicts can work in the colony, but this does not apply to life prisoners. It is forbidden for them to work. And in general, such convicts move around the territory of the institution only if necessary and under strict supervision. Most often such residents of the colony are taken out only for a walk, to see a doctor or to talk to the staff. They spend 22 out of 24 hours a day in their cells. Prisoners can work at sewing machines in the sewing shop. Before starting work, cons are instructed and newcomers are trained. In this place, they sew uniforms for the colony workers, for other prisoners, even clothes made of wool and jewelry. Sewing is the main place of work, and about 1/3 of all criminals work here. Besides this, the convicts also fix cars, bake bread, and make stone products. There is also a greenhouse where herbs and vegetables are grown. Inmates also work here. The vegetables are consumed themselves and sent to Labitnanga and Kharp. The colony even has a small soccer field surrounded by a fence with bars and barbed wire. On the territory there are painted fences with beautiful landscapes, small ponds. All this is done by convicts. Prisoners are fed well. They cook themselves. Meals are 3 times a day. The diet necessarily includes meat. On the territory of Polarnaya Aul, there are 4 buildings where prisoners sentenced to life imprisonment are kept. There are 2 to 3 people in the cells. But there are also singles. The psychologist of the colony said that, for example, no one can cohabit with Pichushkin, Bitsevsky maniac. He has not changed at all and therefore sits alone. Near each cell, there are special signs that provide all the information about the person who is held here. There is also a briefing for the staff so that they do not forget to carry out all the procedures for the control and movement of prisoners. In the cell, there is a table, a bunk, a cabinet, a sink, a toilet, a vessel with drinking water, and a light bulb on the ceiling. There is nothing else. You can read or write. Communication takes place with cellmates, with the staff only on business. Just like that is forbidden, both one and the other. Is it possible to escape from Polar Owl? Not a single escape has been carried out in this penal colony. It is simply impossible to do so, as the control here is so serious. Only one person has escaped from Polar Owl, Anvar Masalimov. Initially, he served time in the Vologda Hill, a well-known colony in the Vologda region. Then from 2012 to 2016, he sat in Sova. Anvar's sentence was reviewed and he was released. As it turned out, in vain, sometime later, he again committed a crime. Masalimov caused grave harm to health and went to jail for 5 years. Famous prisoners of Polar Owl. Of course, there are no innocents in this colony. Everyone here is guilty, some to a greater extent, some to a lesser extent. But here, there are also those who have crossed all limits of humanity. Here is Alexander Pichushkin, who is known as the Bitsevsky maniac. The maniac wanted to kill 64 people, as many as the number of squares on a chessboard. Proven victims, 49 people. He hasn't given up hope of going free. The leader of the Orekhovskys, a well-known Moscow organized crime group, is sitting in Polar Owl. He organized the murder of 38 people and was the head of the criminal community. Nurpashi Kulaev, the Beslan terrorist, is also here. He was sentenced to death in South Ossetia. The punishment was commuted to life imprisonment. This is where pedophile and maniac Nikolai Mozgliakov is serving time. On his conscience, the rape and murder of 2 schoolgirls in Zlatust. He was caught thanks to the surviving 3rd victim. Sergei Pomazun, the so-called Belgorod shooter, is serving a sentence in Polar Owl. In 2013, this man organized a real massacre in the center of Belgorod, shot 6 people and wounded a policeman. Apparently, he has not reformed. He also continues to be irritable and antisocial.